These are Roma seeds.
Odd. Well, they're probably from inside the tomatoes, aren't they?
Yeah,
Tomati
dry.
Rio Grande. It is. So here's the pots that we've done. They're all labelled so far. Kirsten's
Trying to put the seeds in.
What does it say for Romas?
I'm going to plant 2 each, 3 centimeters apart, so 3 in a pot.
3 in a pot. And there's our new water bottle with holes in to put water into the pots afterwards.
Yeah, I saw him. I can do this one.
That's where we're putting them in. So what have we got so far?
3 onion pots and 1 tomato.
So we're doing what?
We're doing onions, romas, zucchinis, 2 pots, parsley, 1 pot. We're seeding out leeks, and we do 3 big large pots of cucumbers. And then we have to do the seedlings that Stefan already did and replant them because they have already sprouted.
So here's our wheelbarrow with stuff in, and that's stuff we've been using for the pots. This is the other view. It's a bit windy, so I don't know whether you can hear me. Maybe we should have done this when it's not windy, because otherwise you're not going to be able to hear us. Are you? Oh well, there you go. You can see the labels. These are
large zucchini seeds.
And we need how many?
3 in each hole, 3 centimeters deep.
Get a bit closer.
Julia joined us. We are now transplanting the seedlings from Stefan. You can barbecue them. We're talking about eggplants here. Nobody likes them, but Julia likes them.
So this is Julia. Hello, Julia.
Is this a
Doing.
video or is it
This is a video. This is video, and we're doing bell peppers. That's the ones that Julie's doing at the moment. And on the other side, the further side, is just normal peppers.
They are also bell peppers.
Well, yeah. And we've got Sasha over here, who's taking part too. There's Kirsten, she's
I'm the manager.
coordinating and sitting at her desk.
That would be office school, isn't it?
Yeah, we're doing home office. This is stay at home.
We're getting somewhere. We've labeled everything. We're now watering, and we're getting some bags for the leftovers because we're running out of pots. But never mind. So there comes Phoenix. Oh, Phoenix. We have one lazy dog already on the ground here. Sasha had to have a look what's happening here. Sasha? Now everything is set and done. The leftovers were put into bags. Looks really, really good. Tomorrow we do the lettuce, and then this is all sorts of things mixed up. And now we have to just pay attention that nothing is drying out, but nothing is supposed to be too wet either. Perfect. What do you reckon?
Yep.
Good work.
I think we've done.
Good work.
So this is a very special cake that is being made.
Corona cake.
It's. I hope not.
I
hope
have
there's
no mixer. I have no measure jug. It's all
all by
done
hand.
by feeling.
because we don't have an oven, of course, so
But
we're
we are
having
very
to use...
creative. We don't have baking powder. We have to use baking soda.
Move the frying pan out of the way just a slight. Ah, yes, there it is.
This is apple, fried apples with a mango maracuja jam on sugar.
From Hasta la Pasta. This is our Hasta la Pasta jam.
Just to give it a bit of a special flavour for the birthday girl. And then we do...
It's a Corona birthday.
And then we do crumbles on top.
So now we've got the crumble that's coming on top. This is German crumble, by the way. It is not in English crumble because German style, because it's not going to be an apple crumble. This is actually a cake. So it's little balls of crumble.
Sugar, flour, and butter.
Yes, we do have butter, although we don't have much left anymore. But oh well. In these times, we probably won't be able to get any more butter. So, but this is a birthday, so we're using it for
special occasion.
Special occasion.
So, here we go. The crumbles on top. Now we have to wait for Julia and Job to come back from the doggy walk, and then it goes into the oven. Hopefully it won't burn. I'll have a shower in the meantime. So this is the outcome of Helen's birthday cake. A total disaster. It doesn't look too bad actually, but what actually happened was I used baking soda, bicarbonate, and obviously too much. Because by the time I got back to the stove or to the oven, the whole thing was bubbling over like crazy. It was running over the sides. And all our crumbles, I don't know, they must have fallen to the ground or they were pushed out, I have no idea. So I ripped it out of the oven and transferred it to a larger container, which you can see now is this one. And I put it back in the oven to bake it. It's a complete disaster, but it might actually taste. We're not sure yet. We'll let it cool down now.
So, yeah.
I mean, why should your birthday be any better than mine?
Well, that's true.
This year. I mean,
This is just
this is just another story.
It's going to get eaten. I can assure you it will get eaten. It's a pity I don't have any custard, because that looks like it would be absolutely fabulous with custard.
Yeah, it could be.
But we don't have any. We don't have any custard powder. There was one in Canada where it turned out to be an upside down cake. It's hitting me. Because it was the apples all sank down to the bottom,
and the crumble sank down.
Went down to the bottom, and it turned out being upside down.
This is pretty much what we have here now.
And it tasted fantastic.
Yeah,
and
it tasted.
The problem is we could never do it a second time.
No, because it has to be an accident to actually do it.
So,
but this might be close to what we had. There are hopes. Helen's going to try it already.
Of course.
You're not supposed to. It's your birthday cake.
Smells a bit odd. Are you sure you washed the pan?
I washed the pan. It could be a little bitter because that bicarbonate soda, I had to put some lime in there, and it must have been way too much. What's it like? Not too bad, huh?
It's a different taste.
That's very diplomatic.
There's something very...
bitter, oder? Yeah, I think it's because the bicarbonate soda fluffed it all up, and maybe I put too much lime in it, so it bubbled up too much. And it has a little touch of acid in there. But we might just put some jam on top of it tomorrow or so. We'll see.
Hey Helen, here's your COVID-19 birthday wishes from Arizona.
Alles Liebe zum Geburtstag in einer besonderen Zeit und ich hoffe, du hast uns erkannt. Wir lüften das Geheimnis. Mia, schau mal bitte.
Die Mia ist es, habt ihr
Mia
bestimmt
ist es,
nicht gleich
genau.
erkannt.
Mirle, möchtest du der Helen noch einen Wuffi heute mitgeben? Haben wir da noch eine Wuff? Wuff.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to Helen. Happy birthday to you.
Die Haare sind lang, wir waren länger nicht mehr beim Friseur.
Alles Liebe, alles Gute. Cool bleiben.
We have a gecko between our notice boards. He seems to be quite comfy in there. This is my latest creation. Some shiny things to distract the birds so they don't pick on our seeds and young plants. Don't know if it's working, but we'll see tomorrow.
After sunset, we sit together in the barbecue area. The rocks are still very warm.
And we're sitting outside on these really warm rocks. It's Helen's birthday today, so maybe we should sing again. Kira is there.
Unfortunately, we can't make a fire. It's too windy. But we get to see a fabulous lightning show across the other side of the valley.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Helen. Helen. Happy birthday. Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! That looks really nice with the lights.
Birthday cake.
Yeah, we're celebrating Helen's birthday again because this cake looks a lot better than the volcano cake from 2 days ago.
Yeah, even Sasha, yeah, it smells good, doesn't it? Huh?
Nini, you don't have to lick on me. You had your cake already.
Kom maar, schat. Kom maar bij. Pakje kijken. Alleen kijken.
Alleen kijken.
Alleen kijken.
Life is hard here in Colombia during Corona times.
There you go.
Is that from Nano or what was the cafeteria?
Nona's.
Nona's. I got that right.
I don't know how
Yeah.
much people...
Oh, that's nice.
It's open.
Looks good.
Lots of people need sweet stuff.
Yeah, alcohol and sweet stuff. In crisis, a lot of people probably gain weight rather than lose weight. The disaster continues.
Ah, it really is a disaster, my birthday. This was my birthday cake, which I've just managed to drop on the floor because I was holding it
Not on the floor, on the grass outside.
On the grass outside. I just went to fetch it and I gave Julio and Hoop half. And then I brought it back in the cardboard box, but the wind blew just as I was getting close. The box opened up and the cake dropped onto the floor and rolled over. So I'm now trying to
Save it for
scrape the bits of
It's just a little bit of earth and grass.
earth and grass. Who cares? A bit of grass, you know. We might as well eat grass.
We're gonna survive.
Oh, this is a very expensive birthday cake.
It is.
It is. It's
Your
cost
birthday's always
$12.
expensive.
$12 a cake. You know, we're not gonna throw this out, and I go and drop it on the free bin floor. Ah.
Wir schlagen uns immer noch tot. Aber man ist ja hart im Leben.
Mit Sand und Rasen. Wir wollten Gras essen, oder?
Ja. Ja, Corona macht's möglich. Mir laufen immer noch die Tränen. Aber man kann ihn essen. Es knistert ein bisschen zwischen den Zähnen. So ein bisschen Sand ist dazwischen, aber was soll's. Sand reinigt den Magen, sagen wir auf Deutsch. Oh, I need to speak English. I forgot.
Yep.
Did I say the whole thing in English?
No,
Did I say the whole thing in German?
I think so.
Well, we're still killing ourselves laughing here. And we're still eating the cake. It's a little sandy on the bottom, but never mind. Just cleans the stomach, apparently. Well, that's a saying in Germany. I directly translate it now. But this is all we have.
Yeah.
Since I ruined the other cake that I was supposed to bake for Helen.
Yeah, I think
Well, the soda ruined it, not me.
the whole thing's been a bit of a disaster.
On Helen's birthday.
Cake with baking soda that erupted in the oven because Kirsten thought it wasn't as strong as baking powder, so she used twice as much, and it just went whoosh,
And
all over the oven.
now cake that
And
rolled in.
tasted not just bitter but fishy. Ugh, horrible cake. I did try and eat it on my birthday.
We fed it to the dogs. They liked
But
it.
it's gone to the dogs. They loved it. You know, they're wagging their tails. They'll have it for the next 4 days, I think. You know, they'll have it in bits. And then we were chatting with the others. So after we managed to eat some of the cake. Oh no, that's right. Yesterday you went out shopping and he bought us this one. Well, we bought it. It cost $12 to have a day late birthday cake round, and then which they really enjoyed, but I got stung by a wasp. And that's the other thing that happened yesterday. And then today I go and drop the rest of the cake in the sand. Yeah, well, the wind took it, you know. So
Helen's sweating buckets now.
I know,
it's
really,
30,
it's
33 degrees in here.
It's really, really
So
hot.
chocolate cake is the real thing to do. And we're going to finish it off now. Life is hard, but it's funny too.
Yeah, disaster birthday. Fallen in the sand. Can you say that?
Yeah,
No.
mine fell into the rain near what it was.
Yeah, yours got washed out, and
Helen's
mine
got-
was a baking disaster or a food disaster.
Maybe I shouldn't do the cauliflower cheese
No,
tonight.
no, we'll leave that, I think.
And have another disaster tomorrow. We're stretching this
We
birthday.
spread the birthday out over 3-4 days.
There we go. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'll try.
And
It's a bit crunchy.
yeah, I scraped mine off a little bit more.
Oh well. We are totally aware that we are living in a small bubble. It almost feels like nothing has changed for us. But the rest of the world is not only struggling with the virus, but also with a huge upcoming financial and economic crisis.
Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson is spending a second night in intensive care. His condition has been described as stable. Across the entire country, 786 people with coronavirus died in hospital, the highest figure to date. However, officials say the number of new cases may be slowing. The 2.5-month lockdown on the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the pandemic started, has been lifted. Transport connections have been re-established between the city of 11 million people and the rest of the country. China registered no new deaths in its official coronavirus figures on Tuesday. And the American state of New York is on the cusp of having more confirmed virus cases than any single country. Only Spain has more. The state reported its highest daily death toll from the pandemic on Tuesday, 731.
The total number of people who've died in hospital from coronavirus in the UK has risen by 938 to more than 7,000. The director of the National Health Service said the number of new infections and hospital admissions was starting to show signs of flattening. There's growing concern in the United States over the apparently disproportionate impact of the coronavirus on black Americans. Statistics from Chicago alone show its black population accounted for 70% of deaths from COVID-19 complications. There's similar evidence emerging from New York, according to the city's mayor.
An assistance package worth more than €500 billion has been agreed by EU finance ministers to help the economies worst hit by the pandemic. The president of the Eurogroup described the proposals as bold and ambitious. New York State now has more coronavirus cases than any country apart from the US itself. According to latest figures, there are almost 160,000 people infected, although there are signs the number of hospital admissions is beginning to level off. Here in the UK, there's been another big rise in the number of reported deaths. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, who's been receiving treatment, has been moved out of intensive care at a London hospital. And the South Korean city of Daegu, which was at the centre of the country's epidemic, has reported no new cases for the first time in 2 months.
New York starts to bury some of the dead in a mass grave as the city tries to deal with the rapidly growing number of deceased. The state now has more coronavirus cases than any single country. Across America, there are now more than 500,000 cases. The UK records its highest daily death toll so far. Almost 1,000 more people have died. It comes as the British government has asked the public to stay home amid fears that the Easter weekend, combined with warm weather, will see some ignore the stay-at-home policy. And many charities have had to stop their work and reduce support for large numbers of vulnerable people. The British Red Cross says there are now thousands of refugees and asylum seekers living in poverty in the UK. In Calais, in France, many migrants remain in makeshift camps hoping to cross to the UK. The government in the UK is coming under increasing pressure to provide protective equipment for all medical staff. 918 new coronavirus deaths have been recorded in the country, the second day in a row that the number of victims has exceeded 900. The US is facing the deadliest coronavirus outbreak in the world, with many more than 20,000 deaths and 500,000 confirmed cases. For the first time, all 50 US states are under a disaster declaration. And Pope Francis live-streamed his Easter vigil on Saturday from an almost empty St. Peter's Basilica and will give his Easter address later today in a St. Peter's Square devoid of the usual crowds. Christians around the world will celebrate Easter despite coronavirus restrictions, with many churches putting services online. The UK has recorded almost 740 new coronavirus-related deaths, taking the total number to more than 10,000. The figure doesn't include deaths outside of hospitals. One of the government's scientific advisors said the UK is likely to be among the worst affected European countries. The British Prime Minister has left hospital and is recovering from the virus at his country residence. Boris Johnson says there is no question the health service saved his life and admitted there was a 48-hour period when things could have gone either way.
Donald Trump has angrily defended his handling of the coronavirus outbreak in the United States. It's now killed 22,000 Americans. The president says he acted at the earliest opportunity. US infection figures have begun to stabilize and a program's been set out for reopening after the shutdown. President Macron has announced that France's coronavirus lockdown will remain in place until May the 11th. In a televised address, he said the current measures had slowed but not beaten the virus. The lockdown has confined the French to their homes since mid-March. The number of virus deaths recorded in British hospitals has passed 11,000, an increase of more than 700 in a 24-hour period. The government doesn't yet expect to relax the lockdown. The UK is not past the peak of the outbreak, it says.
Stay tuned for more videos.